Hi, this is Astrid, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to spend some time showing you how to create your own drum kit based upon using the new auto sample feature. So that means I'm going to be sampling my own drums and then taking those samples and building a kit with it. Thing I wanted to mention before we get started with this, you want to make sure that you're actually modifying the sounds. If you're going to be making kits for sale, those sounds should be unique. They should be very unique. Otherwise, you're just copying sounds and repackaging them, which is kind of a violation of copyright. So make sure that you're not doing that. What I'm doing is just showing you how to do the sampling. And I don't endorse that. I just want to make sure I put that out there. I want people thinking I'm trying to train people how to steal, and that's not what I want to do. So let's get rolling. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the plugin mode, and I'm going to select the plugin. And today I'm going to be using the UVI Falcon for that, and you will see why here shortly. Okay, so open up the Falcon, and I am going to be using the Beatbox Anthology number 2, and I'm going to bring that in. And probably the first thing I want to sample is kick, so I'm going to just go through here and see if I can find a quick kick here. All right, nope. So the reason why I selected this particular plugin is because this Beatbox Anthology is mind-blowing. It has like a ton of kits. I think they pretty much sampled every kit known to mankind. I'm just going to be totally honest with you. So let's see here. It's just about finding the sound that you're wanting. That's kind of soft. Let's see if I can find something. Nope. That's beefy. Okay, that's pretty nice. That actually sounds very realistic. All right, so the thing that we're going to need to notice right out the gate with this particular feature is what key, the key assignment the sounds are on that you're going to be sampling. And I'll show you the reason why you need to be mindful of that. Okay, so looking at the MPC's piano roll down at the, or not piano roll, the keyboard layout at the bottom of the screen, notice this. So they start at C-2, then they have a C-1, then they go C0, C1, C2, and so on, all the way up to C8. So be mindful of that before you even start. And right now this one is on C1, not C-1 or C2. So just remember that. So now that we know we want that sound, I'm going to go to the sampler, and I'm going to go to the auto sampler feature, and I am going to tell it that I want it to be, again, remember that, see that's the octave 2, octave -1, and then octave 0, and then octave 1. This is why you need to know what key assignment to look for. So this is in the note range area, so I'm going to go back down here to octave 1. I only want to sample that particular key. I don't want it to go multiple keys because I don't need that. So I'm going to call this my big, I call it a bassy kick. And let's see, it's giving it 3 milliseconds for a note length, which is probably okay, and the tail is 1, so we're not going to change any of those settings. We're going to leave it forward. We don't need it to be reverse, or we don't need it to be any of the other examples. The crossfade, what I found with these the one shots, leaving it equal power makes it better if you're going to extend it across keys. Otherwise, you can use linear, which makes it a little different across keys. So I'm not going to put this in a program group because I'm going to make my own program. So all I did was name the sample as my base name, and that's all I want. So I'm going to click OK, and boom, there's my sample. Okay, there's my one sample. Cool. So I don't like the way that names the samples, because it adds like this key value to it. I guess you could, if you want long term, for people to know what key value is on, but it's not really necessary. So I'm just going to take that off, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my own program group with this sample. So what I'm going to do is I got to go back to program, and we don't have a program in there. If you have it selected as none, you need to go ahead and just select program number 1, and I'm going to call this my big bad kit. All right, now that we have a name, we can assign this kick to a pad. We just drag it over there, and boom, you've got a program with a sample. All right, so next we're just going to go and do snare next. And let's see if we can find a good snare. Huh, that's actually pretty decent. Yeah, I'm getting lucky. I'm finding good sounding sounds right out the gate. Okay, so this one is on D1. So just remember that it's D1. I'm gonna go to the sampler. I'm gonna go back to the auto sample feature, and in my note range, I'm going to select octave group 1 and note number D1. Okay, now it's just tripping. Okay, D1. Hey. You know, I'm noticing some bizarre behavior with the key value selections on this within the program. Okay, so and you see that I am selecting that value. Okay, great. So sometimes I've found that you may have thought that you've selected the right key, and if you don't, it'll sample every single key up to the key that you have as the max value. So you just have to remember that. Now, and if Akai is watching this, I hope you guys see that there's some sort of bug going on with the note range keys. I was struggling to get it to select D1, and it wouldn't do it. So it's not you, and it's not me. It's the program. So I'm going to again leave the note value set to, or note length set to 3, and the tail set to 1. I'm going to call this my big snare, and I'm going to leave all the other settings alone because I don't want to mess with that. I want it to be forward, and I want it to be equal power between keys if I decided to do that. And again, I'm not going to make this a program because I'm building a program. So I'm just going to click OK, and it sampled it, and boom, there's my big kick. All right, and then we're gonna rename it again because I don't like it naming all of the keys like that. And then I'm gonna go back to my program, which is my big bad kit, and I'm gonna drop my snare in there. So now I have a kick and a snare. How about that? Cool. All right, now I need some hi-hats. So I'm going to go back to my plugin, and I'm going to open it up, and then I'm going to see if I can find me some hi-hats here. Okay, yeah, I don't like that. Let's go to the classics, and let's go to the 808. Of course the 808 is going to be all right. Okay, so that note for this one is an F sharp. So be mindful of that. And again, it's on a C, it's in the C1 range. It's an F sharp. All right. And here we go. We're going to go to the sampler. And we're going to go to auto sample feature, and we are still in octave group number 1, and we're going to go to F sharp. And here we go again with the weirdness. Okay. All right, let's go up here, F sharp on the end, tail end, or the end part. Okay, so it looks like they're, if you can't select it the first time for the start value, if you go and select the end value first and then go back to the start value, it seems like it'll let you do it then, which is still weird that you shouldn't have to do all that. That's just crazy. Okay, so I'm going to call this my big hi-hat closed. And again, I'm going to leave all my other values same, equal power for my cross fades. And I'm going to go ahead and just start that. All right, cool. So I've got a nice little 808 hi-hat in there. All right, and then again, I'm going to rename it because I don't like it given all the crazy naming conventions it does. And then I'm going to go back to my program, and I'm going to drag this in there. Cool, so now I've got a kick, a snare, and a hi-hat. So now I need a closed hi-hat. So I'm going to go back to the plugin. And I think I'm going to stay with the 808. Let's... Oh, yeah, that's good. So that is a B flat. All right. Okay, again, be mindful of the key value when you're looking right here. All right, so we're going to go to sampler again, go back to auto sample, and we are still in the C1 group range. So we're going to go back to octave 1, and then we're going to go to B flat. And of course, it's going to act crazy. So we're going to go over here and we're going to select B flat. And then we're going to go back here again under octave 1 group and select B flat again. And it lets us. Okay, thank you, Akai. That's just weird. Okay, so we're going to call this big hi-hat open. Let's see. So our cross fade type, I'm going to leave it at equal power. I'm not going to make any additional changes to the looping section. And on completion, I'm not going to make any changes there because, again, we're building this for a program. So click OK. It samples. We're good to go. And cool. All right. That's my open hi-hat. I'm going to rename it. Take away all that goofy note stuff at the end. All right. And then we're going to go back to our program. And we are going to add this open hi-hat to that key right there. And of course, this can be a lot more advanced. If you decided you wanted to make some changes to the Falcon, and Falcon is really good for making changes to sound. So let's just go back and let's see if we can find some other really good sound and we can modify it. So let's stay with the 808 kit. Let's see. Okay, that would be good. A sound to sample would be the crash. To have a crash in there. Okay, that is on note value. Let's see, what is that? It's C2, so it is a C sharp. All right, so we're gonna go back to the sampler, go back to auto sample, and we are in octave group 2, and it is a C sharp. It's probably not, yep, not gonna let us. Octave group 2, C sharp 2, octave group 2, C sharp 2. All right, we're gonna call this one big hi-hat crash. We're not gonna make any changes to the rates. I think that's fine. We're not gonna change any of the looping values. We're not gonna change the completion. Just click OK. It sampled it. Cool. All right, so we're gonna rename it. Take away all that garbage that it puts at the end, and then we're gonna go back to the program that we created, and we are gonna drag that right there. So boom, now we've got a hi-hat, a closed hi-hat, an open hi-hat, crash, snare, and a kick. That's pretty much a set. All right, so I wanted to find like another unique sound. You know what? Let's not do that. I know what I want to do. Let's go to the Heated Up. Heated Up has some really awesome sounds in it. And we might actually be able to find a really good kick in there, a good sub bass. So we're gonna open up our sub basses. Let's see, let me see what we've got. Okay, so if you remember the other video that I created regarding sampling tips, so these sustained value sounds, you really need to be mindful of the sampling range or length, so that you get a really good sample. It's still a one shot. Actually, this is not a one shot. See how it sustains like that? That's actually got like a really good kick sound to it. Okay, I really like that one, the knockout. Okay, so that one is a sustaining one, but let's see what we can do about the sustaining one. Let's go ahead and go back to the sampler, and we're gonna have to really tinker with this one to get the sound that we want out of it. All right, so this one is on C1, so it's octave group 1 and it's a C1. This one, because it's sustaining, we want to be able to like play it between keys. Let's just take it up to okay, let's do all the way up to C3. So we'll go from C1 to C3, which is octave group 2, and then C3. We'll do it all the way up there. Okay, so there's some things we need to do on this because the note length actually never ends. That's sustaining. That's the problem with sampling these, is that it doesn't really end, which is kind of complicated. It makes your sampling complicated. All right, so let's see if we could at least get, let's see, this is gonna be crazy. All right, let's make it, and it really doesn't have a tail because it doesn't have an end. So basically what we want to do is get as much of the note as we can. So all right, So let's think about this for a second. Let's go with 10 milliseconds. We're not gonna have a tail because it doesn't have one. Okay, so we're gonna call this one big sub. And we're gonna leave the forwarding and the looping section alone because we don't really need to make changes there. So let's see what we get. Okay. So I had to do a little bit of alteration on this sample. So I got rid of the other samples and I left just the C1 sample. And what you have to do is you need to create a brand new program, but it's not a regular program, it's Keygroup. So let me just do that. And we're gonna select the Keygroup, which is the little key right there, and then go right there. And then we're gonna call this one big All right. So once you have the name in there, and you can't just drop the sample in there, or at least I couldn't. So I just went to menu, and in menu, you go to the program edit, and under program edit, we then select samples, and under samples, you go and select the sample. So from there, you just select the sample. So there, I selected my sample, and I'm doing this from my MPC Touch. And you can probably do it from the program too. So let's just do it from program. Okay, so again, I named my Keygroup Big Ugly Sub. Then went to the menu, and I went to program editor. And then under program editor, I selected the sample, which is, hold on, let me get rid of this thing. Cool, so we can see the full screen. All right. Here we go, sample layers. So under sample layers, I selected the sub, and from there, we need to make some small alterations to the sample itself. So you, under samples, I needed to extend the sound of the sample because this is what you get right out the gate. So it has like this ugly little cutoff. So I'm gonna extend that out to like maybe 2.5 milliseconds. Excuse me, it's 2.5 milliseconds, which evens it out a little bit, but it makes it kind of sustain, which is okay. It's okay. All right, then I'm gonna go back. Go back to my program edit screen. And from there, I'm going to go look at master. So under master, I don't want it to be a polyphonic sample. At this point, I want it to be a mono. So I'm going to change that to mono. And I don't want it to range this far on the keyboard either, so I'm going to change the note range down from endless, which is kind of crazy, endless across the entire keyboard, which is crazy. I'm going to only make it from, you know what, and I think I want to change where it starts too, because that's crazy too. So I'm going to make it from C0 up to end at the end of C2. And right now it's in note on. I'm going to make it a one shot. Much better. Now it sounds more realistic. Okay, so that's it. That's all you got to do. So again, we changed the polyphony to mono. We pulled in the sample first from the sample layers, and we extended the range of the sample from being like a 1 second sample to out to like 2.5. And from there, we changed the sample play to be a one shot. And again, we want the polyphony of the keyboard to be mono. So that sounds just like the original sample to me. Now, I did get a message from a gentleman on the MPC forum in reference to maybe making the sample sound better by using warp. And under sample, let's just go and look at that real quick. Okay, so under sample, there's a feature in there called warp. But what I found it did is it added some extra artifacts to the sound. Okay, hold on, let me go back in there. Okay, so let me turn on, okay, so this is with warp on. See how it adds that kind of an extra vibrato? See that? So I'm going to turn that off. Okay, so now we're back to the original sound. So that, I didn't like that feature. It sounds more natural, and I think that again the key to this is getting enough of the sample to where you can actually manipulate it. So me sampling it out to 10 milliseconds was actually a really good deal. So that way you can go back in and you can change the length of the sample to match the way that you want it to sound. So again, tinker around with making the length of the sample longer for those extra sustaining samples, and then kind of go that route. If you're comfortable with warp, and then you can warp it, but what I found is it adds extra artifacts to the sample itself, and that's not really what I want. But again, it's about experimentation to be able to get the sound that you want. Let's see, what else do we want to do here? After we've built our kit, we want to be able to save this kit. So if you go to the program area, right click on it, go to save, we can select where we want to save this. So by default, the MPC program will save it in your default documents area under the MPC, and this is for Mac. For Windows, I'm not sure if it does that. More than likely it probably does. It put it under users documents in MPC. So when we do that, it gives it this file name, XPM, and the name of the kit that we created. And what it does is it saves the name of the kit or the template of the kit, which shows the assignment of all the pads and the samples with it. So if you're going to be like creating this for some sort of kit that you're going to be selling or whatever, you need to make sure that you include not only this file, but the samples to go with it. And here we go. That's all I've got for you. Please, if you have questions or comments, leave it in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.